So despite Bitcoin coming into key resistance at these exact levels, we have in fact put in a high on the weekly time frame as well. We're going to have a look at that, what that means. Can we expect a deeper pullback? And where are we going to be looking to buy the next major dip? So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get straight into the show content. I have a whole lot that I want to discuss in today's show. We also want to have a look at what's happening within China, because you're seeing those markets continue to rip, and that will tell us whether there is actually going to be another buy the dip opportunity. I also want to have a look at, since the fact that we have put in a higher high and a higher low on both the daily and the weekly time frames, we've seen a trend reversal. So what we need to look at is some metrics that you can utilize this bull run to determine when things are starting to get overheated and when you may want to consider taking some profits. Now, if you're not already in the market, don't worry, there will be opportunities. There's always pullbacks along the way, and all you need to do is pretty much be prepped for when that pullback does take place to determine which coins are you going to be getting into and when, because the reality is that we've only completed a short amount of the upside potential for what we could potentially see within this bull run. So let's get into it, guys. Smash the like button. Also, let me know what you're trading today. Let me know in the comments, what are you trading? Drop it in the chat right now. I'm going to have a look at the chat section over there as well, and then we can see if we can chart some of those coins. Maybe you guys are in alignment with what I'm looking at as well on the chart. So let me know and let's get into it. So if you look over here, China stock market up another 4% today, for now a total gain of 16%, right? These are big numbers. I know not in the crypto sphere. Sounds like a measly little number, but when it comes to these massive stock markets putting in trillions of dollars, well, these are very, very big numbers. And that's 60% over the last 5 days of economic stimulus, which was announced in China. And he says, if yeah, feels like 2020 all over again. And we'll look at some of those comparisons. So there it is, the SSE composite index. That is, of course, for the Chinese stock market, pretty much straight vertical towards the upside, opening up the new week with a massive gap over here. Look at the gap between last week's candle and the new candle open, and this one has no chill. It's going straight onwards and towards the upside, and consequently this is boding pretty well for crypto for the most part, right? We're seeing risk return back into the markets in a pretty big way. There's your tech stock sector for the Chinese market. Again, massive gains, huge numbers coming in, and you can look at this ever since announcing the stimulus. Look at that uptick over here on the histogram for China, and then you got all the other major central banks over here. It's also turning towards the upside on the bottom chart, and overall that means new liquidity coming into the market, which means the M2 money supply is rising, and you guys know what that means, right? This is a repeat of 2020. We've seen this story before, and the correlation between Bitcoin and the M2 money supply is actually more than 80% correlated compared to any other asset class, which means that Bitcoin is very, very sensitive to what the M2 money supply is doing. And if the M2 money supply goes up, well, then you can see over here, like the comment says, do you understand now? Blow off top on schedule. It's all 100% true when it comes to the commentary over there. And the DXY would also break down in that environment. And we've been eyeing this chart out for many, many months. And you can see now we're starting to spend time underneath what I've labeled the acceleration phase, which is 100.55 on the DXY index, that line over there, the white one. As long as we remain under that, you can expect that there's going to be a big drop in the DXY. When there's a big drop in the DXY, it means that money is flowing out of dollars into other asset classes as well as into other currencies. And most of the time, this is viewed as a major risk on signal. So if this breaks towards the downside, this is where you see your big crypto runs, and we've been looking at that for quite some time. So stock markets in the US are also pretty bullish, right? S&P 500 pushing towards the upside over there. NASDAQ still not printing all-time highs yet, but it should be coming very, very soon. Dow Jones, highest closing prices we've ever seen before, and we're about to get the monthly closes, guys. Keep that in mind. The monthly closes are coming into play very, very soon, and we have Coinbase slightly lagging, similar to crypto, right? Expecting that catch-up phase to now officially take place. You have the S&P 500 in the blue and Bitcoin in the orange, and you can see the general correlation correlation. For short periods of times, they deviate away from each other or diverge away from each other like this. And now you can see Bitcoin playing catch up, right? Again, Bitcoin very, very sensitive to when it's risk on versus risk off, also very sensitive to the M2 money supply. And now you're expecting this to catch up in a very, very big way. For any of you that have asked me in the comments, I see it all the time, where can I trade this, right? I want to trade the S&P 500. I want to trade the NASDAQ. I want to also trade the Chinese stock markets. Well, all of this is listed over here on Prime XBT. Feel free to use the link below. If you do use the link below, you qualify for a big sign-up bonus. Choose 20% above whatever you deposit into your account, or you can choose the 25% discount in trading commission. So this is where it is, guys. You can see over here, you got gold, you got the Australia stock market, Chinese stock markets, we got all the cryptos, we have everything over here. I also want to let you know, if you do sign up to Prime XBT today, they're currently running a raffle competition where they'll put you into a prize pool where you can win $10,000 worth of USDC. That's above and beyond the bonus option that you choose, which is only specific with this particular link in the description. And then also to let you know, these guys take their security seriously. They've filed a report, #1 on Trustpilot. And on top of that, they also have everything backed up on ledgers with two-factor authenticator. So that's actually part of the promotion in order for you to qualify for the $10,000. What you need to do is complete KYC and then activate the two-factor authentication on your mobile device so that you can obviously enhance your security. So they're encouraging high-end security, and then you're eligible for that $10,000. All right. So let's continue on looking at Bitcoin. Since we're about to get the monthly close, we can actually look at what's happened in the prior times. And if you look at this over here, October is about to start in 2 days from Mr. Crypto over here. And this is what we saw in the prior cycles, right? When we had the halving election, September was bullish. This is what we saw following on from that: 33%, 19%, and 13.8% Bitcoin returns. The next cycle was out of the election phase, but when September was bullish, you got 14, 5, and 30% gains. This one here, you also had even a negative September, but you can see still a bullish October. So for the most part, pointers, October, also known as Uptober, is typically a very, very bullish time within the markets. Halving election year in 2020, negative 7.5% was your September close. So a bearish close. But look at what happens next: 27%, 42%, and then 46% gains on Bitcoin, right? And then October, again, in the other cycles following the halving cycle and following the election phase, 39% gain, 5% gain. And then here we have 2023, right? September closed at 3.9%. We had 28%. So the best performance of last year was in October, and then 8% and 12%. And where we currently stand right now is 7.8% up. Even despite the pullback that's currently in play, the month is still green, right? So we're going to have a look at that monthly candle. We'll also look at the 2-month candle. And then we'll talk about what could possibly happen next. How high could we possibly go in October, right? So the expectation is we're going up, but the question is, how much are we going to go up by? And we'll try and extrapolate that using some of the previous returns. So Eric Crown gives this information out over here. He says, whenever you see a green close for September, it's gone on to have a positive fourth quarter every single time in the past. That's 100% hit rate. Now, it's not to say that in the future, you may have a negative quarter. That is possible. But as it currently stands, it's 100% hit rate. Strong close in September means follow through into October, November, and December, with October, November typically being the best performers. On average, you're talking about 175% further upside. Now, there are a couple of outliers, as Eric says over here. We have to extrapolate the data and possibly remove the earlier times within Bitcoin's early cycles. Why? Because obviously it was a much, much lower market cap, therefore easier to move. So it kind of at least creates a little bit of a overextended interpretation. The more realistic outlier would be, as he says over here, probably about 50% return, right? 50%. So where would that place Bitcoin? We can look at that. 50% from current levels would take Bitcoin all the way up to there we have it. 50% takes you to $97,000 Bitcoin price. just shy of that key $100,000 mark, which is a big psychological level. What's interesting about that level as well is that's actually the measured move for the inverse cup and handle, right? The inverse cup and handle, or the cup and, not inverse cup and handle, just the cup and handle formation taken from the bottom of the neckline to the top over here. When you break that neckline, that's $97,000 is more or less in line. It just depends when you break out from. What's more important to look at over here is the monthly scale, right? First 2-month scale, you can see over here, we still haven't had any strong 2-month candle closes above $62,851. Now, if you do have a strong October and you close that strong, which is our expectation, you can imagine what the 2-month chart's going to look like. It's going to look incredibly bullish. We have 1 more month to go before we close that. Now, let's look at the monthly chart. The monthly chart is showing a little bit of a different picture, and I've showcased this in the past. You can go back on those videos. You'll remember I said what's most likely is you're going to have something like this, right? And you're going to have continuation onwards and upwards. And that's so far looking to be the case. You clearly flipping this into major support over here, right? This is an SR flip coming off of a big cup and handle formation. And October should break you out of that handle and start to lead into the markup phase, which we expect to occur in a very strong fourth quarter. So if that is to be the case, well, we have to look at certain metrics to determine when should we start taking profit? When are we nearing the end of the cycle? Now, we still have time to determine whether this is a left translated cycle or a right translated cycle. Remember, a left translated cycle just means that it finishes closer to the left-hand side, right? It's a shorter cycle. A right translated cycle would mean a much longer term cycle. It finishes further to the right-hand side of the chart. Now, I still think it's a right translated cycle, but pending how fast we move up over the next quarter, we may need to make some tough decisions to determine, is it possibly a left translated cycle and should we take profit? Because if, of course, Bitcoin is doing something like this over the next 3 months and we're trading over $100,000 within the next 3 months, well, that is going to be a profit-taking opportunity. And there's a couple of ways that you're going to determine how. Now, from a sentiment standpoint, one way that you can do it is looking at the Coinbase app rankings. Now, we track this over here and we see how high is Coinbase in the rankings. Typically, if Coinbase starts to jump into the top 10 most downloaded apps, this would be a strong metric to suggest retail are back in full force, and typically retail join towards the end of the market cycles. Now, I get it. You are retail. I'm also retail. If we're not trading an institutional fund, we are retail, but I consider each and every single one of you smart money retail, because you've all been here for a very long period of time and you didn't just arrive today. If you did arrive today, you're not dumb retail. Don't worry. Dumb retail will come above $100,000, and then we'll stop using those terms so as not to insult any of those people watching the show. So if you're smart retail, smash the like button. Let me know in the comments as well how long you've been in this market for. Now, Coinbase app ranking, you can see as of yesterday, has actually been moving down the list. You can see over here, it's ranked number 445, right? So it's down by 31 points. But there's other apps that we need to track as well, because Ryan says it well over here. He says the app rankings to watch the cycle may actually be Phantom and Moonshot instead of looking at the Coinbase app. I say monitor all of them, right? He says over here, Solana DEXs have a serious structural advantage over the centralized exchanges in their ability to list new assets, and Phantom and Moonshot are retail's portal to the greatest casino on earth, which is the meme coin sector, right? This is where we see all the meme coins getting listed, and this is where the big quick gains are had. And this is where retail are going to want to play, because they're here for a short time, right? Not a long time and a good time. They're here for a short, good time and not a long time. They want to be in, they want to be out, they want to make as quick money as possible, especially when their FOMO is at extreme highs. So I think we need to monitor those. Also, what you have to understand with Phantom and Moonshot is you don't need KYC. Remember, with Coinbase, to download that app and to link it up, you're going to have to KYC. And a lot of people around the world, won't want to do that and probably can't even, because I know Coinbase is only in certain countries, right? I can't get Coinbase. You have to be in a certain region to qualify for Coinbase. So I agree with this. We need to look at what's happening with Phantom and Moonshot, right? So those are some of the metrics you can look at. Other things that we need to look at, the transfer flows to exchanges. Now, this was incredibly interesting. I was having a look at Bitcoin price over here, which is running towards the upside. Unfortunately, we don't have that much history. We only have 2 bull cycles. worth of history, but what we noticed over here is if you look at the true retail exchanges like Binance, well, the biggest spikes in terms of transfers coming into exchanges always occur at the top. Why? Because that is where the emotions are the absolute most heightened and highest, and people are experiencing extreme FOMO, and they do really dumb things like sell their house and their car and send it to Binance. You expect that to occur at the exact top, which is the point of max pain where they get punished the most, and you set in those local cycle tops. Now, if you look at this, where are we at right now? Where is the transfer count to net exchanges? Well, the histogram is only just ticking up. We have not even crossed the zero line. And that shows you that there is the real potential for this to still be a right translated cycle where retail come in a big way, and we lead up into this next major phase, right? Lining up with the M2 money supply, all of that is there. The other thing you can look at over here is the open interest on crypto exchanges, because this shows you where people are overly confident in the direction of the market, and they start opening up those long trades, right? Remember, we did recently see this big uptick from January into March, which is where we printed the local top on Bitcoin, which came in around that $73,000, $74,000 region. And ever since then, it's been chopping about and mostly declining. We have yet to see a major uptick in that, right? You can see it pretty much flat. So we're going to be watching this for big resets and upticks. And similar to the price cycle tops over here, you can see this peaked way above price, right? So that's another thing to look at over there. And consequently, we're still following this chart to a T, which is at absolute perfection. We are currently following the purple trajectory. And in terms of how far we are within the cycle, well, we're sitting at right now what is this in terms of days into the cycle? 685 days into the cycle. Remember, the expectation is that this cycle, if right translated, will last over 1,000 days, which means that you have at least one more year of this bull run, right? But should these metrics begin to change, should the Coinbase rankings, let's say, should we go back to this chart, should we go full vertical over the next 3 months, should the Coinbase app downloads go into the top 10, should the Phantom and Moonshot app rankings also jump into the top 10, should we have this uptick all the way to previous highs, as well as the open interest on crypto futures increase radically, well, then we can start to say that, maybe it's a right translated cycle, a left translated cycle, and we're not going to play out the 1,000-day mark, but instead we're going to do something around the 850-day mark, and then we can start to look for opportunities to exit the market. Now, for any of you out there that want more information on this, in terms of my actual thinking and how I'm playing the market, I do want to remind you, right, there is, of course, Whale Room. You can jump into Whale Room over here. This is where I drop all the various different informations. The portfolios are over here. Everything is over here in Whale Room. I think this is a worthwhile investment. I know you guys are putting thousands of dollars into absolute rubbish coins when you could literally just risk $99 a month, and you can be in here alongside not just me, but also other professional traders, right? Like Farouk putting in massive gains constantly. Great trades over here. Big profits throughout. You got the whole team, Josh the Navigator. We have Christo Columbus with his whole educational series. Guys, if you want to learn, please do jump into Whale Room. There's a plethora of information in there because it's still possibly a very long cycle. Now, we have to talk about this as well. The 3 white soldiers pattern over here. You can see it's a bullish reversal pattern. Remember, we spoke about the weekly trend has only just flipped up with a higher high and a high low. We just recently printed the higher high. But if you have a look at this formation typically consists of 3 consecutive bullish candles, each opening and closing higher than the previous candle, right? And if you go through to the weekly chart over here, well, what do you have over there? Does it not look familiar? You have 3 white soldiers, right? Or should I say 3 green soldiers? I don't know why they ever called it 3 white soldiers. They should have just called it 3 green soldiers. More people would understand that. But there it is, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're looking for continuation from this point onwards and upwards. Remember, we still do have to contend with the 𝗬𝗓𝗧, which is right here. If you take out last week's candle high, which is at 66,635, that should break you out. And as soon as you break out of this level, remember, this is a massive bull flag, as well as the cup and handle formation. You'll be leaving the bull flag. You'll also be leaving the handle. And then we're looking for price targets into the $100,000 territory, which means you should be long and strong, right? don't get shaken out by small pullbacks over here because they will take place. Putting it on a line chart there, it is very, very simple to see lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and boom, new weekly close, putting in a higher high over there. And now we've got daily high highs and high lows and weekly high highs and high lows. And if you look at the volume over here, it's attempting to push back towards the upside. So similar to what we looked at in terms of the crypto futures open interest, we're also tracking the trading volume that's coming into the exchanges with the 7-day moving average. And you can see over here, we're looking for big monumental upticks over here and continuation. And on a monthly scale, it started to come down last week, but it's starting to find a bottom over here and already turning a corner, which shows that new retail will be at least depositing capital onto exchanges, of course, to trade. Now, of course, we're dealing with a resistance area over here. You're currently pulling back. We've lost the RSI pivot level, which is the yellow line. We're below that. As long as we're below that, the RSI will start to trend towards the downside and you're getting a bit of a reset. Let's quickly have a look over here at when our next bear moon comes into play. Well, currently in terms of where we're situated right now, we're 13 days in, which means you have 2 more days left. Leading into the 2nd of October is where you're going to print your next bear moon. Now, that's of course not a death sentence. For anyone that's new here, you probably think I've lost my mind. Please put it on. Ask the people in the chat over here. You guys in the chat, you've been around a long time. You've been following me since the beginning. Let them know in the chat how often we've used this and how often this has succeeded. Now, simply put, what this means is you're looking for that to cause a pullback over the next 2 weeks. And in that 2-week period, you're looking for the next higher low. And that's going to be the final buy the dip opportunity, right? So you got higher low, you got higher high, and you're looking for the next higher low. So if we do continue to pull back, that becomes the zone where you want to buy, possibly around the $60,000 region for Bitcoin. Again, there's no guarantee that that actually takes place, because oftentimes when there's a lot of short pressure up here, that creates liquidity to possibly squeeze price towards the upside. So you do have to be careful of that. And as Gold says over here, and this is a golden thought process as well, his current thought process is, if this is actually the start of the new bullish long-term trend, should we really expect a nuke after 7 months of consolidation and only a week into a new uptrend? Monday musings, right? So remember, you often get trap Monday, right? The initial move that opens on Monday leading into the Asia session is typically your trap scenario, shaking people out if it's towards the downside, or FOMOing people in if it's towards the upside, and then it gets slammed down, right? So in this instance, this would be viewed as a possible shakeout, and you might later on in the week have continuation onwards and upwards. So please do be careful of that and understand this, right? The longer the consolidation, the bigger the next breakout when it eventually occurs. We've had a 7-month long correction, 7-month consolidation. Typically, we look in the region of 4 to 6 months. And I've spoken about that a lot, right? We spoke about that looking at this chart over here. 4 to 6 month corrections. We came into the inflection points. I told you this is most likely where the action comes into the market. And I told you this months in advance. And as you can see, the action has begun right at the exact point that we're looking at. So we have to track the levels, right? We've got the local low. We have a potential local high. It's not confirmed, right? It can only be confirmed when you start to break this trend line down. Now, if you do break this trend line down, where is your major supporting level coming into play? Well, your 0.382, which is your fib level, also known as your, let's call it your bullish fib. In a bull market, price tends to hold and bounce off of that bullish fib, which means if you pull back into that $60,000 to $61,000 region and that shallow fib holds, this is where you expect your next high low to take place. That is the area of interest. Could you go as low as 59K on a week basis? Absolutely. But remember, it's not confirmed yet. You have to break the upsloping trend line. You have to break this trend line. If you break this trend line down, look down towards 59 to 61K as the area of interest where price may start to bounce. That is your final opportunity, your last opportunity to get into the market. And that is probably also going to be considered your last point of supply, right? We're looking over here at the Wyckoff accumulation schematic. We've played out the spring phase. I believe we've just played out phase C, moving into the sign of strength. And then you get that final shakeout, last point of supply. So if that final shakeout comes and you pull back into the 59 to 60K level, that's your last point of supply. There you go. Last point of supply. I know it's very, very untidy. And then you're expecting rapid increases in price and continuation higher. You can look over here on the 4-hour time frame for a little bit of a more objective approach to look at the levels. I've marked off the yellow zones over here, just a simple previous resistance zone, possibly flipped into support. You're holding the 50 EMA over here. Continue to monitor these candles, right? If you start closing multiple candles below the 50 EMA, you may come as low as the 200 EMA, which is the blue one. And that is also coming in at that exact zone that I just showed you, around that 61K level at the 0.382 fib level. So keep an eye out on that. For the most part, you might establish a little bit of a trading range within the zone and then create that shakeout and then mark up at a later stage. So that is for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Now, if this is all true, if everything I'm saying is true, and we are going to have a strong quarter, all you need to do is adequately prep your account, right? If you're looking for a non-KYC exchange, so you don't have to give up your personal information like your ID, passport, any of that stuff, use the link in the description below. Go through to Blowfin, because you actually have an amazing sign-up bonus at the moment over here. This is above and beyond the sign-up bonus that they're offering. You get the opportunity to spin the wheel. This is limited only for the first 100 people, and it's going to be ending very soon. 3 days left to go. You come here, you spin the wheel. If you land on this, you win 2 ETH, right? If you land on this, you win 100 Injective. If you land on this, you win 5 Solana, 20 Sui, 0.1 NEAR, right? 0.1 Toncoin, 1 Sui, or you only have a 1 in 8 chance, which is like a 10% chance that you win nothing and you have to try again. So use the link below. You have to deposit $100. Why? Because it's non-KYC, right? So we want to stop the bots from opening 100 accounts and spinning the wheel and basically taking all of the prize money. So that's it over there. Let's continue on. Let's have a look at the RSI heat map for the altcoins. What I want to showcase to you over here is you can see most of the coins are leaving the oversold weak territory, moving now into the neutral territory on a weekly scale, and that RSI still has a lot of room. What you have to understand with this is also when the RSIs actually trend into the strong to overbought zone, this is typically where the biggest moves take place. So contrary to popular belief, people believe that, you know, as price comes into the oversold section or the weak section over here, that, you know, the downtrend is over. But actually, that's where the downtrend just begin. Now, it's the exact opposite when moving into the strong and overbought section. When you see the RSI trending into the strong section and it remains in that section, that's where bulls have full control and take the reins, and you see prices rallying onwards and upwards, right? So really, really looking good over there for the RSIs as they trend up. And you can see, again, the optimism hasn't fully returned, not even close, because the funding rate heat map is still putting in the blues and the greens over here, which is essentially neutral to negative funding. It simply means that the optimism is not back, right? The market is still very, very unsure of which direction price is going to go. And because they're unsure, they're not confident enough to open up those new long trades, which is why, remember, we're tracking this, the open interest of the futures traders, to see when this does tick up. When this ticks up over here, we should simultaneously see the RSIs moving into the strong zone. We should also simultaneously see this moving more into the oranges, right? Which is where typically like that in March period over here, which is where we saw the big trending moves take place. So keep an eye out on that. Others are still strong. The breakouts in play, right? This others refers to the market cap of all the other cryptocurrencies minus the top 10. If we look at total 3, which is also your altcoin sector, you can see you've broken that parallel channel, which has been governing the price to the downside. You've closed a full weekly candle above there. You also have there the 3 white soldiers or the 3 green soldiers, right? 1, 2, 3. And I'd actually argue that this is a more picture perfect 3 white soldiers than what we're actually seeing on Bitcoin, right? Because the Bitcoin one, if you look at the Bitcoin one over here, we have a big one. We have an almost equal to arguably a little bit bigger on the second one, but then the third one is small, right? Usually you actually want to see continuation with an even bigger one. And if you go to the altcoin sector, well, that's exactly what we're seeing, right? A smaller one, a bigger one, an even bigger one. That is 3 white soldiers showing you that you should expect continuation and major trend reversal, which means that the altcoin sector should pop very, very, very soon. So you can see Solana already pushing all the way up towards the mid-range. This is truly the level to reclaim. You want to see Solana above $165. If Solana can get above 165, well, wonderful. That opens up the trading range where you can now trade up to 205. And this is a very long-term consolidation. if Solana can break out from this over here, you know, this becomes a huge trade. And you can actually work out the measured move, because in trading, you can work out measured moves based on various different chart patterns, right? So this would take a measured move all the way with the breakout just below $300, $292 Solana. Let me know in the comments how much you want to see a $300 Solana. Let's have a look at Casper. I see that's one of the questions over there from you guys. How's Casper doing? So slight pullback over here. Now you might get lucky enough. I'm going to close this out over here so that it's not in the way. You might get lucky enough to see one more move down into this trend line over here. Keep an eye out as this moves towards 15 cents. Personally, I'll be looking to buy more Casper. Should I even get new capital from businesses, which I have to wait another week or so from. But if I do, I'm going to be allocating a little bit more into Casper within that region. Let's see, NEAR, beautiful over there on NEAR, big push up. We have the fair value gap just below. Watch for the pullback if it comes down into 489. That's your zone or your opportune area to get into NEAR. Let's scroll through the list. How's Mantra doing? This is at least my real world asset play, my top pick when it comes to real world assets. Looking really, really good. That's holding up. Let's go to Rio. We're still in the long trade over there. Rio almost hit the final TP. All of this has been dropped in well room ahead of time. We've taken a lot of profits off the table, but we still have the potential to put in another 50%, but probably going to get a pullback first before that. Let's just quickly mark out pullback levels. You'd be looking at anywhere between 95 cents and $1 for pullback level over there on Rio. Okay, I see you guys want to know about Sui. Let's quickly go to Sui. How is Sui doing? Where are you? There we go, Sui on the top. Okay, so big, strong move. We spoke about the final shakeout when it was taking place, and that's where we started to load up on the reclaim of the range, and off it went, right? Initially, I was looking to possibly take profits into this zone, but based on how strong the weekly move through the top side of the parallel channel, we continued to hold that position, rallied all the way to the top side. Now it's pretty much a waiting game, right? You can't really enter into this at these levels. Personally, it's either going to go, or if it pulls back over here, that's your next opportunity to get in at about $1.40, right? $1.44, between 140 and 144. That is your zone, right, where you want to gain an entry. I also want to talk about 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏, right? Look at this Twitter account over here. He follows me. I should follow him back. There we go. Volt with 42.4 thousand followers and tweeting here about 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏, right? So 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏 really starting to get momentum. Now, some of you may think that they did some sort of KOL OTC, influencer OTC deal, but at least according to my knowledge, when we asked the team, that is not the case, which means that this is pretty organic growth. So very strong over here, pushing up above the breakout level, which means as long as it can hold above 0.023, this thing should continue onwards and upwards. You have a bit more resistance coming in at 0.03362. Again, this is 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏 now trading at $25 million market cap. We got in at $800,000 market cap, which means we still up around a 30x mark, right? And at one point we went up on this as high as I think about 200x, give or take, from bottom to top over there. So really looking good, strong for the longer term. We can look at a couple of other coins over here as well. Let's just see over here in terms of the meme coins, how the meme coins looking today. So Bonk putting in a bit of a move. Look at that. Bonk broken out of its falling wedge formation, holding above that. We're already long on Bonk. If you're not long on Bonk, I mean, theoretically, you could probably get long at these levels with a very tight stop loss underneath this candle over here, which is going to be, I'm just going to give you the candle. It's the daily candle that occurred on Friday, the 27th of September. If you were long, that's probably where you'd want your stop loss, and you're looking for continuation onwards and upwards out of that region. Okay, 𝗡𝗡, the Chinese Pepe coin, also looking good, putting in high highs and high lows, holding up over here really nicely with new Chinese liquidity coming in. I do expect this will be one of the top gainers, right? Other meme coins, let's see. What else have we got? Anything else sticking out like a sore thumb that we need to look at? Let's see. What is this over here? Astroport up a little bit. Okay, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what else you want. By the way, for any of you that do want to learn more about trading, well, remember, we do have signups still ongoing for Whale School. It's free, 100% free. You don't have to pay a cent. This is an example of one of the shops.
How do you improve your win rates? The answer is very, very simple, right? You gotta get a little bit more stingy on where your entries are. Focus on trading near the extremities of where you'd be wrong, and unlock full access to the course. There's a section where I talk about the 5-point entry approach. When you get to the 5-point entry approach, that will show you how to completely minimize a lot of the risk, and that should change the game for you, giving you a much higher win rate, right? Even if you don't want to risk real money, go and take paper trades, right? Every day look for a trade, and then you're gonna have to track that, right? A lot of the exchanges will actually show your equity curve on the right hand side. It will show if your curve's going up or down. That will also help you to understand the win rate.
All right, guys. So sign up, use the link below while there are still spots available. I haven't checked this morning to see if there even is any, but put it in. If it's not, we'll make a plan. We'll try to get you in. Just if it doesn't let you in, send me a DM and we'll make sure that you get into Whale School. Now, let's have a look at a few more of these coins. I did see that, some of you are asking as well about Baked because it's recently had a pretty big move. So let's take a look at Baked chart-wise, up 32% again. This one's been cooking at $15.7 million market cap. Wow, look at that. What an absolute recovery. So let's just quickly mark off some of the levels, just giving a pretty clear zone over here. This would be the areas of interest. I would just constantly watch this zone over here. I'm going to mark off one more zone. You want to flip this now into support. This is a big previous resistance level that price was capped at. So we'll mark it off over here. Let's just quickly grab our tool over here. We can use the price label. There it is. So around this zone over here, 0.01382, and we'll put another one underneath that. These are the areas 0.012101. Those are the areas you want to hold that as support. If you can see Baked flipping this into support, that actually opens up a possible trade opportunity where you've now officially flipped what was prior resistance into major support, and then you're looking for the springboard off of there and higher prices. I don't know what Gummy looks like. I haven't looked at it for a while. Let's see if there's any gains in Gummy. Well, 9.77 million. So also attempting to put in a bit of a recovery over there. It's been a very, very long-term reaccumulation range over here for Gummy. If Gummy is to get going, well, the similar levels to flip, which Baked is obviously the market leader right now between the two. It's already flipped these levels. You're looking to get above 0.01813 to 0.0121, right? Or excuse me, 0.02102. It's written on the right-hand side. Just screenshot that. Those are the zones. You want to flip above that level. Okay, let's look at a couple more. I see we have 𝗬𝗢𝗡 as a request over there. So let's check out 𝗬𝗢𝗡. How's 𝗬𝗢𝗡 doing? This is also one of my picks in the portfolio. Remember, the portfolio has been dropped in Whale Room. And here's the levels that you're looking at, right? I don't know if I drew twice on this chart. I must have. I think that I lost the levels at one point, so it's looking super messy, but let's just clean this up a little bit. What a messy chart, unreal. Okay, there it is. So you had a falling wedge formation, also broke out of that. You're reclaiming a key horizontal over here, which means you're flipping this possibly into support. Theoretically, this opens up a long trade over here. A very, very easy and obvious place where you're going to place your stop loss is going to be down here, right? So stop loss goes below these candles on the left-hand side. Let's change the color to make it nice and bright for you. There you go. Stop loss goes below there. As long as you can hold this as support, you're looking at 𝗬𝗢𝗡 to springboard off of this zone. I have my trades open. 𝗬𝗢𝗡 is in my portfolio. Maybe, if I get new capital coming in the next couple of weeks and it's still hovering around here, I might allocate a bit more, but otherwise my 𝗬𝗢𝗡 bags are packed and I'm ready to head out, right? I'm ready for the train to leave the station. Okay, Render still got some work to do over here. This has just been a pretty sloppy chart, right? But you're breaking that downsloping trend line. You're also reclaiming some key horizontals. So maybe with the AI run, Render may be one of the benefactors. Remember, when it comes to the AI coins, I've only got a select few on my list. Render is one that I want to add into, but I just haven't found the perfect opportunity yet. So the other coins that I have in terms of AI, let's quickly go to those. Where is my AI sector? Here we go. We got 𝗬𝗢 on the list. Very, very, very strong. 𝗬𝗢 looking super strong. That's probably the next high low. This one's probably going to continue up. We have 𝗕𝗏 as well. 𝗕𝗏's in the list, finding a bit of resistance at the upper boundary of this parallel channel, which has been rising up. So pay attention to flip the horizontals into support. You have a very nice level over here. Watch that zone. Pretty much this candle could start to form a high low, and then you're looking for continuation. EOS, okay, also looking good over here. You're still yet to break the break out of the parallel channel, but at least you've broken above the mid-level over there. So that one's looking good. Let's just mark off some zones. Okay, if Bitcoin pulls back and it does happen to come down to 60K, EOS, you're going to be looking to pick up at about 45 to 47 cents. Okay. How long has the show been? Let's just quickly see over here. Guys, smash the like button as well. Smash the like button over there. Please do me a massive favor. We have been on the show for 39 minutes. So let's cut off over there. I'll catch all of you on the next one. Make sure you take advantage. Spin the wheel, right? Spin to win. It could be your chance to win. And then jump into Whale School, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a great day, and cheers for now.